good from all of those.
How do you set up the band? I'm talking about sound-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Who helps with you? Do you do that mostly yourself?
So there's three of us that would set chanters, and I've got one sort of chief drone tuner, as it were, who goes round the drones, but we do enlist the help of other guys as well, because they're depending on the size of the pipe core and things like that.
Right.
Because it's impossible for one person to get around 20 odd sets of drones in final tuning when the sun's just come out.
You need about 3, 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do it with 2. You can.
Yeah. So there's myself and 2 other guys that do channers. And we sort of would have the circle split into 3 sections. So we're each doing a sort of third. But it's quite good at practices, because what tends to happen is, we'll get there, we get the pipes out, get the pipes up to pitch and stuff like that, play through some sets. And then once I'm happy that I think the pipes are up to pitch and things like that, then the 3 of us will all go off, and Donald then would take charge of the circle to run through the sets and the material and things like that. And this is where Donald's very good, because he's very methodical and works really hard on the expression and the playing and things like that. Obviously, the both of us work closely together, because there has to be a common ground on what that expression should
absolutely,
be.
Yes,
So, but it works really well. So he gets ripped right in about that, which is great. That keeps the pipes going and the pipes up to pitch, and that allows the 3 of us to pull out guys individually, so that we're not standing about for any length of time.
So he's sorting one set of pipes, and the rest of the band's standing picking their noses.
There's no time for that nonsense. So it just keeps things moving, so that the 2 hours, the way I look at it, Alan, is I see the guys twice a week for 2 hours at a time. It's just 4 hours in a week. It's not a lot of time. So you can't afford to waste it.
Sorry to interrupt. What's your attitude to pipers turning up a band practice with bad pipes?
There is absolutely no excuse for that, and I'll tell you why. Poor maintenance and things like that. See, the drone tuner tends to deal with maintenance issues. So, and I'm not talking about hemping people's pipes for them, but pointing out and telling them to get it fixed. Obviously, that gets fed back to me, and if it's not fixed, there's a major problem. But so coming to band with a bag that needs seasoned or anything like that is just wasting my time, is wasting everybody else's time, because the pipes are not going to be working properly. But the thing about the bad sounding pipes is that should never happen, and the reason that should never happen is because nobody I set the chanters up at home, right? And I think, to be honest, there's a lot of guys are doing it this way now, because it saves a lot of wasted time when you get together as a group. I would never ever set a chanter up at a band practice. Never do that, because it's wasting time.
I remember Ronnie Laurie did that self-same thing in the late 60s with Hardy chanters. We all had chanters with ivory soles and numbered 1 to 16.
Right.
And he had number 16 because I was the last guy in. And that's so he was able to identify, and they knew how I blew and everything else, and set up number 16 chanter
to suit you.
And that, so it was quite a good way of working.
Absolutely. And I think, like I said, I think there's a few guys out there doing that. There's a few bands doing it like that, because I think the benefits of doing it like that, it's a lot of time for whoever's doing it at home and away from the, because if you're having to do it with 20 odd guys, and it takes time for each chanter, it's time consuming.
Half an hour there right away.
It's well worth it though, because your full 2 hour band practice is a practice. It's not you're not wasting time standing about setting up chanters and things like that. So anyway, that brings me back to what I said though. There's no excuse for somebody to turn up with bad sounding pipes, because they're getting a chanter that's going. I know, because I've played it for half an hour. And the only way it's not going to be going is if they're wasting our time by no practicing it at home. So it's there's ways you know, and I suppose at the end of the day, they're not going to get played.
The question arises then, if you've got their chanters at home.
No, I don't take them home.
Aye.
No.
So, there's a misunderstanding.
Right.
There,
so what I
correct that.
What I would do is, there's let's say for talking sake, 25 chanters in circulation in the band. Right. Not all of them are being played. Right. There's maybe 2 or 3 spares.
So there's 25 matched chanters. This is for folk in Hawaii,
yeah.
South America, and everything.
Sorry, there's 25 matched chanters on the go. Right.
So you're using one of the matched chanters and you're setting up reeds
for a specific individual.
Do you think about specific blowers when you're doing that then?
So you remember way back at the start I talked about blowing gauges.
Aye.
I know what pressure each of my guys plays at on a blowing gauge, which means I can pick a reed to suit.
Aye.
You see?
Aye.
And that then means that I'm not giving you a reed that's way too easy for you, for example, or way too hard. It's the appropriate strength. So I know when I'm giving it to that person, that individual, that's a good reed for them. He can blow that, and I know it sounds good if it's played at a particular pressure, etc.
What do you do about adrenaline donkeys? Like, go and blow too hard once things start up.
You
know where I'm coming from.
Aye, absolutely. What you've got to try to do there is find out who those individuals are and eliminate them. That's basically the only option you have there. Because you can't legislate, but you can't work with that. You know what I mean? You can't. If you're setting somebody's pipes who is, let's say, calm, and they're bang on and they're set and they're going well at this calm pressure, and then you hit that trigger line and everything goes completely belly up. You can't work with that. How can you possibly work with that?
Ian McClellan had 1 or 2 like that in his famous band, and of course they're all police officers, and of course it was limited numbers. You're talking 12, 13, 14 pounds, small court.
I think I remember hearing about this.
So he used to set the reed accordingly. So that he knew that when we went on the field they'd blow up.
Blowing up to
However, you don't need to go to that.
You're not limited, that's right. So it's that makes life a good bit easier, I would say.
What size is your pipe core typically over the years? Signed on players, if you like.
From 2006 through till just now, it's varied in size from 16 up to 30. The most
what
I've
do you
ever
like
had.
to go in the field with?
That's a very good question, Alan, and the answer to that question is the best team possible.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If that's a team at 18, then it's a team at 18. If it's a team of 24 and they're all going absolutely bang on, 100%, then it's 24. If it's more than that, nowadays it tends not to be. Perception is a double-edged sword. So, going out with a massive band is not something that's impressive so much anymore. It used to be. There was a point in time when it was pretty impressive. Is it necessary? No, it's not necessary. What do you gain from it? I would say it has its pros and its cons. The pros are, I think, if you take a band and you listen to a band that has, let's say, 14, 16 pipers, and you compare that with a band that has 24 pipers, it won't be any louder, right? Because volume doesn't work like that.
Right, yeah.
But what it will be is fuller. It'll have a fuller sound because I think you fill in more of the harmonic range, right? And where that comes from is the drones, right? Which is a whole different thing.
That's interesting to bring out that.
So point. You maybe gain a decibel or two, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm sitting here talking to you about 60 decibels. So gaining 1 or 2 decibels is probably not going to be perceptible.
But you're talking about maybe the quality of the sound.
The quality, the timbre of the sound, the fullness, the harmonic of the group. Aye. And that's what changes because you maybe get I don't even pretend to know the full physics of what's going on, but you maybe get a broader harmonic range of having these more sets of pipes. different makes of drones, different drone range, different arcane drones or whatever, because you've got in a pipe corer, let's say 24, right, for talking's sake, you've got maybe 2 or 3 sets of nails, 3 or 4 sets of Hendersons, old ones, maybe 2 or 3 sets of the modern Hendersons, a couple of sets of lorries in there, a couple of sets of my own in there, mixture of different types of drones. You're going to get slightly different harmonics from each set of drones, and that gives you a bigger overall umbrella.
Are you playing sheepskin and cane?
Sheepskin bags, cane drones, yeah. Yeah.
Most of the top first grade bands, that's a setup.
Yeah. It's definitely, I would say, it's harder work. It is slightly harder work than playing synthetic drones, for example, right? But I think the benefits of doing so far outweigh the negatives, because you get more from your drones. But it's not it's not allowed. It's not about volume. The projection's better. The projection's different. The harmonics are different. You get a fuller sound. More of an umbrella.
It's really a quality of sound you're
that's
trying
what
to add to all the
that's
time.
what you're trying to do. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
And the chanter reeds, you get them from a specific source, or is that a bit of a mix, or what's that?
No, we're all playing the same chanter reeds. I find you kind of have to do that. We're playing Melvin reeds, Adrian Melvin's reeds, and we play them in the Shepherd chanters, the classic, the 480 chanter that he makes. And I like the sound. I like the it's not pitch or anything like that. It's the quality of sound. I like the sound that comes off that setup.
It's very, very subjective, the whole thing.
Of course it is, aye. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that floats my boat. It might not float anybody else's boat.
But I think if there's been a severe criticism of pipe bands over the last years, is that they all sound the same. That's a bit much saying that, it's distinct from maybe several decades ago where they were wildly...
you had a lot of...
different pitches and different sizes. And I know everybody had a different sound and almost a characteristic. Anyway, you've been successful with the band. World Championships, almost hit the crossbar a couple of times. You've been top 4 for a wee while, haven't you?
Yeah. We were runners up back in 2012, a while ago now. And I think we've been third a couple of times, fourth a good few times, and a couple of fifths and sixths in there as well.
Do you think that the standard has come up quite a bit over the years, every year on year? Is it, what's your perception of that?
I think it becomes more and more difficult to try to find the improvement that makes it that much better, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Aye.
I mean, I think it continues to improve because people are so focused on being the best that they can be and winning that ultimate prize. That's the goal at the end of the day. But I think, how can we, the question you've got to ask yourself is, how do we improve, other than, steadier blowing or how do you improve on the drone sound that's already where it's at?
It's a very, very, very small percentages all the time.
So is that perceptible year on year? I don't think so. Because you're talking very small gains.
Your execution and how close knit your pipe group is. Aye.
It's funny actually. I was listening to old recordings this year at some point. I mean, I say old recordings, I mean like really old recordings.
Aye.
And I can't even remember why or where I was listening to them or whatever. But just when you say about the tightness of playing and or the execution and things like that, and as good as it is today, some of the playing on these old recordings is like You couldn't get a fag paper between them.
Aye.
You know, and it's that tight. The sound, on the other hand, obviously...
Sound's not anywhere
not anywhere near it, but the playing
Is
was...
that down to a smaller pipe unit?
Quite possibly. Or maybe we focus... Now, this is going to sound like a crazy statement, but maybe we focus more on sound than playing now? I don't know. I mean, certainly I know, I'm speaking from my own band's point of view, we spend a lot of time working on playing and expression and things like that. And I would absolutely say that every other band out there is in the same boat.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, why was it? Why is it a perception thing? I don't know, because I think that it must have been something that was maybe more time was put into than what it is maybe currently. And that's not to say that we're not putting time into it.
Aye.
But, maybe there was an awful lot more time put into it.
Maybe more emphasis on the playing side.